Because that's then inconsistent, or would appear to be inconsistent with the words that you've written, which said that you want to change the nature of the roading through there.
Exactly.
And develop pedestrian area.
Councillor McKelvey.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting that we can get around all of this by saying, in the same way as we've said elsewhere that it's subject to other processes, etc., etc., if you just put proposed future development pattern for the town centre, the future sorts itself out with these as guidelines. And I think that's more helpful.
And that was the intention of providing this indicative alignment for the future, given that it's a proposed future alignment, as opposed to what's currently there, which we obviously want to change.
And we've got no problem whether it's black or low key, as long as it indicates that there won't need to be two roads, one over by the lake and one back by the shops in the future. We will have a different arrangement of one road. That's all it was going to show.
Yep. I thought you'd ruled, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I thought we ruled that that's what it will say, because everybody in the room agreed to what we finally discussed.
Move on.
You guys want to change it around now.
So we're just explaining that there seems to be an inconsistency between what's in the words and what's on the maps.
No.
Councillor McKelvey's suggestion of proposed future plans will cover that aspect.
Right. Next one.
Now, what are you talking about, Mr. Mayor? This, I knew this was going to be a bloody problem. I knew it was going to be a problem.
I think we should actually just take
Councillor Welsh
and
what about me?
Just let the officers go away and come back after 10 minutes and see where we stand on this.
No. We've already discussed this at length.
We've decided.
I'm going to ask the SHU staff one question. The resolution that we passed on this area down here, does that fit with what we're all thinking in this room when we left and made that resolution? Are you telling me no?
Our interpretation of the resolution that you've passed is that you wish to see some changes to the roading alignment and the nature of that Robert Street frontage currently sitting down there.
That's my understanding.
What we took from the discussions was that you didn't see the value in having Robert Street sitting there and Lake Terrace sitting here, that it made sense to have a single road alignment through there, and that it makes sense to have that road alignment essentially where it's been indicated here, bearing in mind that that may well change through specific design detail later.
The nature of the road may change and the alignment may change.
It's only the portion of Tongariro.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, go on, Councillor Eckland.
I think it's only the portion of Tongariro Street, the lower end bit of Tongariro Street, that we're concerned about as being a low-key road.
So it's not the wiggle.
No, that's
No,
what
that's
I was
what
trying
I've been
to
trying
explain.
to say.
Well,
That's what I was trying to
that's
explain.
not what we just got told to do.
That's
which
not what
was
I
to
just
align
said either.
Lake Terrace back on the existing
Sorry,
alignment.
So everybody's changing their mind again. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chair, through you, I think Mr. Councillor Hickling's the first one that actually hit it in plain English on the nail, square on the bloody head. But, you know, very hard to get through when people are just butting in and carrying on like it's going on over here. I do believe that we do want to do something with the Lake Terrace from the end of Tongariro Street to Ruapehu Street, because of that whole area there for outdoor dining and excitement, invigoration and refreshing and everything. But I think it's just been hit on the head here. That black line on Tongariro Street should carry on to the corner, but leave the squiggle in Colonel Roberts Reserve.
That's what I was trying to say before.
Well, we're getting there slowly, but we'll get opposition yet. But that's what I'm thinking that would solve this problem. And I see Councillor Hickling nodding his head. So if we blacklined that to the end of Tongariro Street and then had this lovely, whatever we're going to do in the future through public consultation processes, etc., to try and make it a better, more livable, that nice word you used earlier this morning, 'cause I like it, livable, enjoyable area, I'm all for it.
Or even blackline it all the way to Titiroapenga Street. We don't mind at this stage.
But leave a bit of a wiggle, so we are showing an intention. It's in our minds to try and do something that is better and nicer for the community. You better take it over here, mate.
I'm going to come back to the resolution. That's the guiding light of this whole crux of the matter. Now, hang on a minute, Councillor McKelvey. You've interpreted slightly different than some other people in this room. including myself. The resolution on ours starts on page 53, not 55.
Mine says 54, sir.
That's because I
But
said
hang on a
before you're
minute.
working on pink sheets.
But hang on a minute.
He's got more one.
Now, I pinched Councillor Welch's one.
You can share.
The reason I finally picked it up was if you on the pink page go over to page 54, and the reasons be that Councillor McKelvey was referring to, in the last sentence, the needs of the mobility impaired and vehicle parking all have different design solutions which need to be investigated in detail through an exclusive design process. Moved Councillor Uberhagen, second Councillor Blythe. So that resolution for us on the pink starts at 53. All right? Now that's the resolution. Now, if you read that, does that say exactly what's written on that map, Mr. Carroll?
It would appear that there are a number of different interpretations, but
Boy, you should be a politician because that's a real politician's answer.
we believe that we have reflected what we thought you intended with that resolution. We don't have a problem if the black line for Tongariro Street comes all the way down to the end. We don't even have a problem if that black line carries all the way through to Te Raupinga Street. What we're quite keen to see is that that wiggle is maintained. Bearing in mind that
And that resolution reflects the wiggle.
Exactly.
well,
Yes.
that resolution refers to Tongariro Street.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
So where does it refer to the wiggle?
There is
That's
doesn't.
what I'm trying to get my head around.
There is no resolution which says there shall be a
think so.
wiggle. Or not a wiggle.
Here they go.
Or lots of wiggles.
We'll have to get those singers from Aussie.
But hang on. So what you're telling me is, if I can try and get, because it's 10. What you're telling me then is that original wiggle that was there, and there it is. That's the draft. There's the wiggle. There's the wiggle. You're telling me that we gave you no guidance whatsoever to change that wiggle and go back to the original Lake Terrace starting from the corner of the end of Tongariro Street.
In fact,
Have I got you right now?
in fact, what we took from the discussion and the resolutions around Robert Street frontage was that you wanted to see significant change around that frontage.
And there is a resolution on that.
And
And we talked about fountains and all sorts of things.
what we're also conscious
some
of is that
people
it wouldn't
did.
make sense to keep Robert Street as well as Lake Terrace in that location. So based on all that, we didn't change the wiggle.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Mayor,
through you. If we just leave the status quo, take the wiggle out and all that, we're actually telling the people out there in webcam land and other places that we're not going to change anything around Robert Street, Colonel Roberts Reserve. We've gone through a structure plan. We've gone through a consultation process. We've had Village Well here and all sorts of people talking about piazzas and people drinking coffees and lattes and everything. And we're just going to go back and have nothing there. So we're just saying to people, well, guess what, team? We just spent a whole heap of dough and we're going to do nothing.
Mr. Mayor, that is not quite correct, and I really don't give an RS about people out there watching webcam.
Well, I do, 'cause
We
I'm
must,
stakeholders.
hang on a minute, we must follow what the resolution said. We've already deliberated on this, and I ain't deliberating again. We've already done that, and you'll follow the process correctly. Go to page 50. And I'm not talking draft plan, I'm talking final plan.
To be adopted.
Mr. Chairman,
Hang on.
I've had my hand up for a long
Yes,
time.
I'm going to go to you next.
Well, hang on. I
There's
actually
the-
put mine
oh,
up
you,
15
you.
minutes
Yeah,
ago,
all right,
and you said
all right.
so-and-so first and me next.
Well, you guys have been
Still
talking all
waiting.
day, so it's my turn. What I'm trying to help you there, that picture, which I think you wanted to refer to, Councillor Fagan, is showing on page 50, showing that coming down, and you remember we spoke about a piazza, etc., and someone said that we didn't have that. There is a resolution in here somewhere saying that that is correct. Now, we never changed that, so therefore that road does show a wiggle in it. Councillor Uverhagen, then Councillor McKelvey.
Yeah, I beg to differ on that. I know that when we had all the discussions, there were long discussions at which it was the pros and cons of that wriggle. It was that it was not the councillors who had asked for that wriggle to be put in there, and all of the difficulties were raised concerning the events and the cyclists and so on. And it was something that, yes, if we're going to be looking at what we can do with that lakefront area, that is something that will come. but that it was nothing that was to be in there as at this point from this time. And so I disagree that that should have been there.
Councillor Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to go back to the resolutions and disagree totally with the Mayor. I'm not quite sure what he's had for lunch or whether he's got his papers here, but I'm going back to the resolution that was moved by Councillor Oofhagen, seconded by Councillor Hickling. It is after the resolution about the development of the lane network and service lanes, at which point the Mayor left the meeting. Again.
What page is that on?
It's page 51 for me, and it'll be further back for you.
49.
Page 50, there's a good resolution there. The Mayor left the meeting before it in relation to the lane network and service lanes.
That's right.
And, for example, improving the lane network and service lanes will assist with the structure plan goals of creating a compact and vibrant central business district with a higher density and mix of land uses, etc., etc. Now, the next resolution is the resolution about the development of the Robert Street area and the proposed lakefront piazza. They are recognised as a critical project in the structure plan and that a master plan should be prepared as a matter of priority for the town centre. The master plan should recognise the potential for a short-term link from 2 Whaitau Street via the existing service lane system to Robert Street. And then the reasons for the decision.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with the actual
With
street,
all
though.
due respect.
Hang on, it does.
With all due respect, for those who were here and remember the discussion,
Yeah,
I
was
believe this resolution that was pulled together by the officers, thank you to the officers, pulled together the need for a master plan for the whole thing. And this is where the emphasis should be, that it is a future project. Now, as a compromise, I'm going to suggest that in relation to the wiggle, we show 2 different options, because there is no resolution about the wiggle specifically. That we show 2 different options, and under the heading of proposed, that gives the master planners of the future for this whole wonderful new public place at the end of the laneway, going into Robert Street and the Colonel Robert Reserve, it gives them some options to consider. But there is no resolution about the road, Mr. Chairman. You are quite right, between the end of Tongariro Street and Titi Raupanga Street, the lakefront road, Lake Terrace. There is a resolution that we do a master plan.
Yeah.
And I believe that to be fair to everybody in this room, some of whom were here and some of whom weren't when this took place, that we give those 2 options. It'll get us out of what is a divided view, Mr. Chairman. It's proposed and we put some money into this master plan as soon as we can, whoever's on the next council, and we get on with it as a high priority, as it is stated in this resolution.
Councillor Gallagher, would you have your hand up, or was it?
Yes, I did.
And then Councillor Dannett.
And I think the reasons for the decision that we made about the master plan
On page 50?
on page 50 say that we identified the importance of improving the Robert Street frontage as an important link with the lakefront.
Yes.
Okay, and then further down, number D, redevelopment of the Robert Street frontage will reflect the direction in the structure plan for stronger connectivity to the lake, enhanced lake frontage, slower traffic speeds, and significantly enhanced pedestrian amenity through wider footpaths. So, if we're looking at, and there's another plan on another map on page 51, which also looks at developing Robert Street, and it's got a little curly queue along Robert Street to Ruapehu Street. So there are 2 alternatives already that have been proposed. So I think we've got a resolution there which says we will do this and the reasons for doing this. So I think we've got to stick to that. And it was passed by Councillor Oofhagen and moved by Councillor Oofhagen and seconded by Councillor Hickling. So, yeah, I I think get on with it.
Thank you, Councillor Downer.
Well, yeah, that resolution was on, and yes, I've heard about 10 times today of the people that wasn't here, but there was only one person that wasn't here. All the rest of us were here, Councillor.